the fact that we have to make these distinctions in 2022. I was talking about this with somebody the other day, with the whole thing about the black coaches and how it's now 2.5 men. And you're thinking that we have to make these distinctions at this point, and that the NFL has to reach and go, wow, he's half a black guy, that McDaniel, half a black guy. There you go. It's working. And you're thinking, no, why do we have to make these distinctions with white and black? I know it sounds kind of simple to say that, but why can't people just accept each other for who and what they are? The pleasure, as always, to be joined by the head basketball coach of the University of Miami basketball team, the great one himself, Mr. Jim Larinaga. Will you be using any of the video from the NBA All-Star game in any of your defensive classroom sessions? And does that even represent token pressure from the old days in the parks?
We're trying to get our guys to defend like the guys who guarded Steph Curry.
Well, they were shooting from the Coke machine, literally. I mean, there actually was a Coke machine at the mid-court stripe.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Whose call do you think it was? Was it Giselle or was it Tom?
I think this one was Tom.
Yeah? Wow. I mean, just when you thought nothing could eclipse this whole hoopla over Selection Sunday and who got hosed and who got screwed and who made it into the tournament and how did Duke get favorable treatment once again, overwhelmingly so, by being a number 2 seed. I'm not sure. Is it that big of a deal to be a number 2 versus a number 3? I guess you got a slightly easier path. Playing a 15 seed in the first round as opposed to a 14. There is a slightly higher percentage of upsets, 3 versus 14 than 15 versus 2, which happens very rarely, like maybe, I think, 9% of the time in the history of the NCAA tournament. And it took a long time for that to take place until was the first one, the Richmond Spiders over Syracuse, 15 versus 2, Mike Lubitz.
That was one of the first ones, yeah. That was one of the early
ones. Yeah, Jimmy B, man. He didn't have a whole lot of hair to begin with, but he sure had a few less. Explain it to me, Lucy. How do you explain away that loss, right? You're a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament and a perennial contender, and all of a sudden you're knocked out by the Richmond Spiders, who actually knocked out a team themselves. They knocked out Dayton. Inadvertently, they knocked out Dayton because by them winning their conference championship and getting the automatic bid, the Richmond Spiders literally crawled their way into the tournament. Ian Eagle had a great line about that. Was quoted by somebody, I believe, in my New York Post, Ian Eagle. Or it was popped up on Facebook by somebody that was observing it, talking about how they snaked their way in there or crawled their way in, the Spiders, and or crept their way into the tournament. But nonetheless, I guess Dayton got knocked out as a result. The Dayton Flyers.
Yes.
The last time I remember paying any attention to Dayton, they had Donnie May. Donnie May was one of the league's or the nation's leading scorers. He ended up being a New York Knick of very little distinction, but a very popular player. Donnie May was leading the Dayton Flyers many, many years ago. I think I caught them in the NIT, my first time ever going to a college basketball game. My buddy Cliff Keller and I went to the NIT at Madison Square Garden when the NIT was something, right?
That was a bigger deal, yeah. Wasn't that a bigger deal than the NCAA?
I believe, the final that year might have been led by Donnie May. The Dayton Flyers went against Kansas with the great JoJo White, my friend. JoJo White. Remember JoJo White? I wasn't a huge JoJo White fan. I thought he chucked. He was a bit of a chucker. You remember JoJo White? Good ball player. I mean, very flashy guard for his day. Had a lot of moves. Anyway, the tournament bracket is filled out, but the story eclipsed completely by the return of one Tom Brady to the National Football League. 40 days in retirement, and he's right back on the road with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Many people thought that was interesting. One of the few times I ever was like sort of stunned on this show or any other show that I've done was when Brett Tester was kind of, he was saying somewhat emphatically, that Brady would be back, and then he would be the next quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers.
I think this is that. Because supposedly a big part of him leaving was the Bucs, and all we've heard since he left, which he hasn't left. He hasn't missed a minute. To me, if you don't miss a minute of action, that's not a retirement. That's just the offseason. But all we've heard is he was on the outs with Arians. He was on the outs with the Bucs. There was issue with the Bucs. Well, if he's on a contract with the Bucs, he can't just go right to the Niners. So to me, this is sort of the first step to Tesla maybe being right.
I don't think he's getting traded by the Buccaneers.
I know, that's the
He
problem.
made it sound like he was committed to being a Buccaneer. I guess he could have asked them. I'm sure Goodell would have intervened there. I mean, they might have even called on NATO to try and do something about this. I mean, not that they're busy with anything.
Not at all.
My God, what atrocities being committed by the Russian government and Vladimir Putin. Just sad to see every day. I mean, literally, you're thinking, are we not on the? I don't want to panic anybody, but I mean, it's pretty close to World War III type of stuff, is it not?
Something
Crazy,
close to
Mike
something.
Louie
That's
Lubitz. But to see the carnage and the damage that's being done in the Ukraine, I mean, what a shame. I mean, even if they stop the war today, look what they've done, right? That's the old thing out of the doors. What have they done to the earth? What have they done to our fair city? Unbelievable what these people have had to endure so far, and the courage and the bravery that they're displaying is, and the unity is to be, I don't know, applauded is putting it cheaply, right? I mean, your heart just bleeds for these people, literally, and yet, I mean, we're like, we don't want to touch that. Can't send any planes in there. It's, I mean, very, very ugly what's happening around the world. So we can concentrate once again on Appeal Yourself Off the Mat Monday on the sports department, which has to be considered a completely separate entity at this point. Now, I'm off to Atlantic City for the first round of the tournament, although they do play a couple of games on Tuesday and then a couple more on Wednesday, the play-in games, which Indiana is involved in a play-in game. Didn't they look like they deserved a spot in the tournament, the Indiana Hoosiers? Did they not play some pretty good basketball in the last few weeks of the college basketball season? Played very, very well.
That played out of their mind in the conference tournament did not get a boost. It's really weird how much they put into the conference tournament when it's going on, and then on Selection Sunday, the committee doesn't give a shit about the conference tournaments.
So is there anything really to dissect about the Brady thing? I mean, many suspected that he was not going to retire, that was not his last year. I mean, the guy that really got hosed was whoever paid the $518,000 for Brady's last touchdown pass. Now, unless he doesn't throw a single touchdown pass this year, he gets injured in preseason and doesn't play again. I don't know any polite way to put it. That guy got fucked.
Yes.
Did he not?
It was
$518,000 for like a meaningless, one of a zillion touchdown pass balls. I mean, I hope he had arrangements to sell that and did it before, he got any. But I'm thinking this guy's got like a $500,000 piece of leather.
Yeah.
That is absolutely worthless, right? What do? Make it into some shoes? What do you do at that point?
It might be a collector's item in a sense that, a lot of the time when like the card that's wrong, there's that one card wrong, so it stands alone. Like maybe later on, people can.
Are you kidding me?
That he
what chump is going to give this guy $500,000 for a ball that is probably going to be 30 to 50 touchdown passes away from his last one? Can you remember who caught Marino's 50 away from his last touchdown pass ball? I don't think so.
Oh, no way.
Right?
Yeah, no one.
So, and this guy buys a thing at auction. Didn't Evans also, Mike Evans, who caught the pass, didn't he throw it into the stands at first? And they got it. Did they get it back? And then they gave him like a token ball.
Yeah,
it was like the Derek Jeter gift basket, wasn't it? I mean, what good does that do you? Okay, I got a brand new Duke. You could go to a sporting goods store and probably buy one for less than a stick. No? How much is a professional football these days? They used to be, I don't know. I remember when somebody would bring one to the park and you're like, whoa, you got a Duke? Unbelievable. With, paying homage, of course, to our dear friend, the Duke, of lovely and talented one, and, of course, his own level of fame. But the ball's got to be, I would think, worthless at this point, no? I mean, what could you possibly want to give this guy for a ball that has zero significance, except that it was the last one he threw before, as you said, he didn't really retire. He announced his retirement, but he missed nothing.
It was a month.
Wasn't like he showed up late for training camp or something. The last minute before the season started, he saw the Bucks were in trouble. He said, "Here I come to save the day."
Like they haven't even had the draft yet. Like he hasn't missed anything.
Yeah.
Like it's not a retirement. I don't know what the hell you call it.
Well, it's a real asset for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're probably a half an inch away from signing Mitch Trubisky. to be their quarterback. Which oddly, Lubie, you'll find this very strange because, we tend to label a guy as being no good. We see a small body of work. He was with the Chicago Bears, showed some flashes. Mitch Trubisky, was drafted very highly. A lot of people thought it was, a reach, as Mel Kiper would say. Lubie, you were probably screaming, Trubisky, are you kidding me? At number whatever he was, 6.
He was number 1. No, he was number 1.
Was he 1 overall, Trubisky?
The same draft as Watson and Mahomes. That's his problem. It's the two of where he was pitted against 2 guys that were top 5 quarterbacks within 4 years in the league.
All right, so you may use Mitch Trubisky as the punchline of a joke, as I just did, which, but it might be worthwhile to reconsider. At least I'm not sure. The New York Giants, anyway, feel that way because Dayball and his crew, which he took a few coaches off the staff there. Oh, and the GM came from Buffalo also.
Yes,
the new GM of the Giants. So they have this Buffalo connection, coach and GM, and they had Mitch Trubisky as a backup quarterback. Last year, of course, he wasn't going to see a whole lot of playing time because they had Allen, and the guy had a great season and looks like he's going to be a monster, right? So, and he's not going down, right? You could shoot one of those cannons like they used to do with the guy with the pot belly from point blank range, and they got hit with like a giant cannonball. It was the size of a bowling ball, and the guy didn't flinch. You could do that with Roethlisberger, and he would be fine. And I think also with Allen, a quarterback for the Bills.
Like a linebacker.
Would you say that's a fair statement? Yeah. So, and this guy is running over defensive backs and linebackers, he was the older kid that was running over a bunch of 6-year-olds in the park. Like Joey Vanatta, the guy from my neighborhood. But anyway, I mean, they seem to like Trubisky, and they were thinking about, there was speculation that the Giants might sign him as a backup and maybe even a threat to your man, Daniel Jones, who also now comes under the heading of possibly being, and I hate to admit it, Lubie, but you might have been right about this, because I, of course, was duped by seeing 2 seconds of highlights of Daniel Jones playing quarterback at North Carolina, which everybody looks great in their highlight film, right?
Yes, do.
You catch the sizzle reel on this show. Are we making any mistakes? No. Are there production flaws? No.
No.
Are there times where 6 guys are talking over each other? No. Everything is perfectly smooth. And, runs like a well-oiled machine. And then you get to see the real show, and you're going, that doesn't look anything like the brochure. But, I mean, Brady's announcement, while some people might have been upset with the timing, saying that, what a showboat, right? He has to eclipse Selection Sunday, which I did watch some of that. I don't know. It's kind of weird to see people like I like Clark Kellogg a lot. I think he's a class guy.
I like him. People make fun of him for some reason. I've always liked him.
No, he's a very dignified fellow. I had a chance to meet him and talk to him a few times, and I've had him on shows many times.
We've had him on here. We've had him on our show before.
Yeah.
I like him.
Clark Kellogg, knowledgeable. He doesn't talk down to you like Jay Billis. You don't get the feeling that he doesn't have time to talk to you because he knows so much more about basketball than you do. All right, which, it may be the case. Obviously, he knows a lot more about college basketball than I do, Jay Billis, because he follows it. I mean, this is his game, right? We have to kind of have an eye on, speaking of eye on channel, an eye on everything, right? We have to know a little of this, a little of that. And that's one of the things that we pride ourselves on is that we're not relegated to just talking about one sport all year long, which a lot of people make their living almost entirely speaking about football, speaking of which, we're going to spend an hour on that with John Congemi, although John's also, he doubles as our golf analyst. By the way, Lubie, man, did we get buried.
Oh yeah,
I have to consider my entry in this as a complete throwout. I got so hosed by the way this thing broke down, and not to make any excuses because it's not an easy thing to win this golf pool where you're picking 7 golfers from different columns of 13, and you can't use 2 guys from the same column, so you have to make some choices between some very good players. Unfortunately, one of my choices was Brooks Koepka. But the thing with Koepka, he's playing great on the first day. The first day, the conditions were ideal in the early morning and into the afternoon. And then it started raining and it played havoc with the scheduling. And the guys that hadn't completed their first round on Thursday had to come out on Friday in like a 4-hour window where their winds were like 50 miles an hour and it was pouring rain almost the entire time. They squeezed in like 4 hours of play, but the guys that came out there to finish their first round, including almost all of mine, got absolutely, literally hosed by the rain. And they were all out of it. Koepka went from, I think I had him at 3 under at one point. He might have gotten to 4 under early in the first round. Brooks Koepka, who's a monster player when it comes to the major events. And now you would consider this in golf probably the 5th major, the Tournament Players Championship.
Yep.
Strongest field maybe of the year. I mean, it's probably a stronger field than you have at the Masters because the qualifications for the Masters are a little bit different. And I want to say that this is a larger field with an even larger international flavor, if I can use the word large twice in the same sentence, right?
Sure.
Not very imaginative there, Defo, Mr. Vocabulary. But no, I mean it's a dynamite field that they have going for the Tournament Players Championship, and then you have to. Wow, do you always have to play the old standards, Lubie? How weird is this in the big events? What is it about like Paul Casey and Louis Wiesthausen that they're always in the mix in these events? Now, do you see Wiesthausen, playing well anywhere else? I guess he probably does well on the European tour, right? I don't know. Well, we're in Vietnam today, and look at that. All Lusty's got it going again, right? I mean, where is he playing that he's dominating? European tour, I would think. And a class player, and always a factor, it seems like, in the major golf tournaments, no?
Yes.
Masters, you can't leave Usti out. PGA, Usti. U.S. Open, Usti. British Open, Usti. So do I use him? No, of course not. I throw him out. I figure the guy's washed up, right? He's a shot fighter. I mean, how many times can he compete with these young guys, these young guns who are all red hot right now? So I went with a bunch of them, including Scotty Scheffler, who also, I mean, this was another guy completely ruined by the fact that he had to come out in that second window that was available there where, they played, a lot of guys played on Thursday. Then the field got cut off. Some guys were about halfway through their round. Some guys hadn't even started their round when the rains came. And then they went out there in the ugliest. I mean, it looked like the British Open, didn't it? I don't know if you watched any of the Friday action because I was naturally involved thinking not only was I doing well, but the card that John Kangemi put in was doing very well the first day. I don't know if his guys also got similarly hosed as my guys did, but Koepka goes from like 3 under to 9 over.
Oh, Jesus.
By the time he ends the round.
Like, are you
3 under to 9 over. Brooks Koepka.
That's a joke.
I mean, from one day to the next. You wouldn't have that kind of turnaround if somehow you shot the round of your life one day, but in reality, you were like a guy that would be lucky to shoot 100. Somehow everything that you did worked out. Well, that would be hard to imagine if you were like lucky to shoot 100 that you would shoot like a 74 one day. But it could happen, right? I mean, everything goes your way one given day. All of a sudden, you have it together. The drives are right down the middle. They're in the fairway. The bad shots that you shank off trees somehow ricochet off the tree back into the fairway and even roll onto the green. It happens. I mean, it might be an odd way that you went about it, but the golfers were ruined. Actually, John, the first day, I was thinking beginner's luck, maybe, or his own reluctance to admit that he knows more about the game than he cares to let on. But he had some good choices. He had Joaquin Niemann, who was 5 under par. The leader on the first day was 6 under par. I guess there were a couple of guys tied at 6 under par. Yeah, including Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, Tommy Fleetwood, who I think you need a search warrant now to find him on the leaderboard. I don't believe he's anywhere near there. And what was weird was the guys that played on that little bit of Friday, they were ruined. And the guys that played on Saturday, they didn't fare as badly, but Sunday the conditions were ideal, pristine. So now, I mean, it's going to be a great finish to the tournament. We unfortunately have no rooting interest in it whatsoever, except as observers to say, "Wow, what a great round of golf this guy played." But there are a ton of guys. I mean, you can have any one of 20 guys come out of there. They're all within like 2-3 strokes of the lead. So a pretty good tournament all the way around. But nonetheless, havoc was wreaked by the weather in Jacksonville, which was much more severe than what we had here, which we didn't really have any severe weather to speak of. Did we, Lubie?
It rained a little.
Some wind on the beach yesterday. It was a little windy. That's about it. On the beach only. But if you were just across the street where I am. I mean, I walked across to the beach, and it was like all of a sudden I was in the Sahara in the middle of a dust storm, sandstorm. But I like that. I kind of dig raw conditions at the beach. I don't care. And I have to compliment a couple of, well, there was a trio of young girls, I would imagine spring breakers, and they braved the waters, which washed them, well, I mean, within 5 minutes, they were a mile down the surf there by the Commercial Boulevard Pier. They walked in, hey, how's the water? Oh, it's nice. And I look out there, and all of a sudden, I just see like buzzards flying over here. Helicopters coming in, fire rescue. No, they were all okay, but man, it was a little bit rough out there. And then you walk across the street and it's fine. Now I'm saying this to the rest of the country, which was smacked with a lot of bad weather over the weekend, and yet, I mean, that was it for us, right here in Florida. But it wasn't the atrocity that people predicted. It was much worse, I would say, from the middle of the state. Say that cesspool of a city known as Orlando all the way up to Jacksonville, which my brother loves living there. A lot of people say nice things about Jacksonville. I don't know, when the best thing that happened, in the history of your city was that you had 5 dog tracks at one time. That is a great golf course, though. Wow, Lubie. I mean, all of these pro courses that they play, for the most part, I mean, with rare exception, when they show the aerial shots of the different holes, or the view of the golf course. I mean, Pebble Beach would, of course, be the most majestic. But, wow, I mean, that is one good-looking golf course, Lubie. I can't imagine they would let a couple of hackers, if you paid the greens fees, right, which would be, what, $300-400 probably for that?
It's got to be nuts, yeah.
Do we have a golf course in Florida? I guess we have a couple of real exclusive ones where you would, yeah, I don't even know if you can get on there as just a regular schlub. But, if you paid $300-400, now you can go play Pebble Beach. And that might be a $600 tab right now. $600,
something in that range. Yeah.
Think about that. What is that? Like that's like $30-something a hole.
Yep.
Right. So could you ask the guy to start? Hey, could I just play like 2 holes? Here's $68.
That's all I want. I don't want to play a whole round.
It would take me the rest of the day anyway to name two of those holes. But that was part of the fanfare of the weekend. And then, of course, you had the Selection Sunday and a few of the conference championships to be decided. A lot of that stuff went on Saturday. So, I mean, what can you say about Brady? A lot of people thought he was coming back. What was Schefter the guy who reported this? Jim Gray, who had the exclusive
Schefter
on this?
One of the first people.
Schefter was one of the first guys to read like Brady's Twitter account where he probably announced it.
Yes, exactly.
And go, I got it first.
That is exactly how it has.
Doesn't matter. I mean, the news circulates quickly now. It's not like, it's a well-kept secret, about 2 seconds after the decision. Is made by Tom Brady. So I don't know. I think it spares the Tampa Bay Buccaneers some agony this year, where they would have had to either draft a quarterback or go with Trask, the guy from the University of Florida, Kyle Trask. Remember him? Tough little kid. I don't know. Does he have some Brady kind of instincts? Kyle Trask.
I don't know.
It's hard to say that in the same sentence, right? Kyle Trask and Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And say, well, you know what? They didn't really drop off that much by putting Trask in there. Brady statistically had a great year last year, Lubie. I mean, yes, I didn't follow it as closely as, I would have liked maybe because, I mean, statistically, he was spectacular last year, Tom Brady.
Yes.
Could have easily been the MVP over Aaron Rodgers, no? I mean, if they went with Brady last year, would they have been making a big mistake, the voters?
No, he was. A lot of people thought he was going to win the MVP. Rodgers' team had better regular season success, so that's why I guess they gave it to Rodgers in the end.
No, I mean, it wasn't like you could start screaming, we was robbed. If you didn't have Rodgers, he certainly had all of the deserving criteria to be considered the MVP of the National Football League, but so did Tom Brady. And you would have thought maybe there was a little bit of fade to Brady's game because, of course, they got knocked out of the playoffs. He did rally the team from the dead. What was that, against the Rams, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Yes.
Yeah. And that game was so boring in the first half. I remember I was waiting for the next game to come on, and I'm watching this thing, and I'm going, my God, this is ugly, huh? Yep. And then the second half, the Rams started, they got cute, right? Sean McVay Why didn't McVay just take the $20 million? I mean, come on, Lubie. I don't care how much you love coaching.
Guys
Wouldn't you
love
take
it.
the $20 million a year for the next 5 years, and you can always return to coaching like Gruden did if you wanted to, as long as you don't send out any emails, that involve the Washington Commanders organization and/or are addressed to Dear Dan.
Exactly.
It's not probably the worst way to write an email, Dear Dan, and you're sending it to the Skins.
No, you're
right
done.
at commanders.com. Why did I say Skins? See, now, right? I mean, I can't get away from it. I can't get away from considering that the Chargers are from San Diego and that the Washington Commanders they're the Redskins. I'm sorry. Kim Usabi. Unbelievable. I guess, does the intent, see, that was what was lost in the whole cancel culture, the intent of things that are said. In other words, the intent of naming the Washington Redskins the Redskins was probably not to, impugn the integrity of Native Americans. Would you say?
No, it was in the 1900s.
Is it insulting if I was Native American? I probably would say, yeah. I mean, they're depicting us as savages, man. What is that?
Yes.
So it's kind of an ugly image, right? The Redskins. Wow, yeah. I like to have a different color skin, so therefore they're from, a different planet or something. And it's, not bad enough that we already, swiped their land. Although amends, I don't think you could ever really make amends for that. But, licensing casinos on these sovereign grounds, my God. I've been trying for the last few weeks to get my friend Sean McNamara to do some research on the property here to see if there's any Indian or Native American remains buried underneath the tennis courts so that we can just license this unit as a casino. Wouldn't that be great? I have a whole second floor there where there's really nothing going on, right? With a kitchen right there. I mean, we could serve drinks. A very exclusive casino for whales and high rollers only. Now, who's going to bankroll the initial startup money that we need? That would be the question. McNamara probably could do it himself, right?
Yeah.
You know Sean Mac.
Yeah,
he's got plenty
done very
of capital, this guy. All right, speaking of capital, so I'm going to be in Atlantic City for the Thursday. Now, I'm going to go with the under on number of hours that my Spirit Airlines flight to Atlantic City will be delayed. I'm saying that it takes off on time and gets me there on time. What kind of fool am I?
Well, I mean, research that.
All of a sudden, I'm Robert Goulet here on the show. What are you talking about?
You researched that as the first flight out. I mean, so there's no
I don't know that it is. I believe that it is.
So
Would you not think that? I mean, is there a flight coming into a Spirit Airlines flight coming into Fort Lauderdale from somewhere else that originated prior to? It would have to be 5:30 in the morning. Where would you be coming from?
I mean, it could be
Chicago. I mean, where is this plane going to be originating? That would be the question. Jamaica? Did he take off at 5:30?
I was going to say it could be a flight from one of the islands at 6, and then in their mind it lands at 8. So they have plenty of time to clean it out, but it's Spirit, so that's actually not what happens.
No.
Back an hour or so. Yeah, that's what.
They're hiring guys off the street to come in and clean out their planes. I mean, it's crazy, right? Hey, you guys need a job? Yeah, okay. No, 10 an hour. 10. That's all I'll go. I think I'm gonna bet that it originates here. See, now if I lose this bet, is that a bad omen, right? Should I just abandon the trip?
Yeah,
if you lose the bet, the very first thing you're betting on whether the plane's going to be on time or not, just to get in the mood. And I think it is. Jersey Kyle has taken that flight many, many times. And I have too, but it's been a while. I haven't been to Atlantic City for a while. I mean, it's it's not even the poor man's Vegas, Lubie. It's actually a very different trip than Las Vegas. Yes, there are casinos, and there are many of them. You don't necessarily, unless you're on the boardwalk, and you can kind of walk casino to casino, but it's not like Las Vegas, right, where you have to go into a casino to enter a casino to use the bathroom at another casino. Essentially, you're never outside for the 5 days that you're in Las Vegas. Once in a while, it's like all of a sudden they open the door, to feed Papillon or something. Where the light hits you, you're like, "Wah!" What is that? The sun?
Sure, you walk
they didn't tell me they had that here. Now, Atlantic City. I have never seen the ocean, and we had a comedian on that was talking about this who was from New Jersey, and I can't remember who it was, but very funny, talking about Atlantic City. Oh, no, you know what? I was at a show. They had a wheel that you spun in a new casino to get you to walk in the door there, and, everybody likes spinning the big wheel, right, with the money on it. Even though that's like the stupidest game you could play in any casino. Where the big deal is, they have like two of the things on like a Wheel of Fortune type wheel. You know what I'm talking about? That big wheel, and they've got like 1s and 2s and 5s and 10s and 20s on there. And these are the odds that you're getting if you play, they have like a dollar bill and a $2 bill and a $5 bill, and you put your money on the bill, and then the guy spins the wheel, and there are 2 slots where it pays 50 to 1. 50 to 1. Okay, so I mean, big deal, all right? I mean, you have like a 1 in a trillion chance of hitting this 50 to 1, and yet everybody plays it. I've won on it too, actually. Just by a bizarre quirk of luck when you happen to be on a decent run. But in general, it almost always flicks to the 1, Lubie. So if you're doing this, you're probably playing a few other things. You're getting even money back on your 1, and they're just raking money right off the table there. It has kind of a carnival feel to it, though, which people like. Would you agree that, when gambling, a little bit of a carnival feel doesn't hurt anything? What do you think? You wouldn't understand any of this. What am I talking to you for?
I don't want a carnival feel. That's why I don't. The only gambling I'll do is through the professor a lot of the time, because I feel like he has a clue. So I don't feel like it's carnival. I feel like there's legitimacy to it.
There's something appealing about it. I don't know. I'm always tempted to play this game and bet the 50, right? Which usually has the logo of whatever casino you're in. Like if you're at Harrah's, like the Harrah's is the 50 to 1.
Okay.
And, I mean, you turn around to the crowd like you were Mike Evans and you just caught Brady's last touchdown pass, and you rip your shirt open like you were that Brandy Chastain, right? Just, I did it, the 50, I hit it, look, it's on it. And the people oohing on, like a couple of people, whoa, look at that. But what did you make? You made like $150 on like a $3 bet. Meanwhile, you're losing your ass everywhere else that you go. Anyway, so we got some free tickets to a comedy show by walking in there and taking our chance. It was spinning the wheel for prizes. So we got free tickets to a comedy show that wasn't exactly going to fill up anyway, but it was very good, a very funny show. And one of the guys was talking about the, I guess the color of the ocean and the consistency of the ocean in Atlantic City, where it really is the only place where the Atlantic Ocean looks worse than sewage water in Harlem. It does. I mean, it just, you're walking on the pier there and you're thinking, man, that ocean is ugly. So you're not inclined to walk the beach there. And it's a very different destination. Now, people, see, you had to deal with this, Lubie, because you're not a gambler. So if you're in Las Vegas, you are looking for the impossible to find and usually not worth the time and or the money that you waste on them, alternatives to gambling to entertain yourself while in Las Vegas. Oh, we could go see a show.
No.
Red Rock Canyon, another example, right? Exactly. Red Rock Canyon. Who the hell wants to go to Red Rock Canyon unless you're James Gandolfini in one of the final scenes there in The Sopranos, right? Where I guess he was, was he at the Grand Canyon? Or that's the other thing, right? Well, what a myth, huh? The Grand Canyon tour. You're going to take a chopper to the Grand Canyon, fly over there and go, hey, look at that, nice hole in the ground, and go right back to the strip. $325 later.
That's even more now.
That stupid Ferris wheel that has the bars, each little Ferris car has like a bar, and it's like the biggest thing. Waste of time, man. You can't wait to get off. From the time it takes off, you're screaming, let me off! Various little kids' entertainment, a total waste of time. And if you're playing, I mean, they figure if you're in Vegas and you're playing like game machines, and a couple of these casinos, I would imagine all of them now probably have like a game room also. But if you're in there, they know you're a bozo, man. So they're hammering you. I mean, it's a sledgehammer right to the knuckles. It's a scene right out of casino there. Yeah, you come back here, you do that again, you're really going to feel some pain. So, I mean, I can't imagine that the games are of any great value. Atlantic City, though, doesn't have any of that, right? I mean, none of that buzz. And certainly the alternatives are different because you can walk on the boardwalk. And that's okay, actually. If the places that sell food there are open, you can get yourself something, reasonably tasty to eat that's among the, probably list of foods that C. Everett Koop would have condemned as things that you should never eat. lot of greasy stuff, The pizzas, though, are good and, all kinds of stuff. And then you have all these little weird shops. A lot of Bobby Kraft must like Atlantic City. A lot of Oriental massage, my friend. Like every other place has got some Asian woman outside going, "You want massage?" I'm like,
we get happy ending.
no, man. I mean, it's like 48 degrees outside. The ocean looks like shit. And I'm losing my ass. And, my wife has just tapped out the ATM card, so we can't gamble until tomorrow. Right? Yeah, sure. Yeah, rub my little toes there with, some smelly fish or whatever that is. It's not the same. I do have reservations at the impossible place to get a reservation, courtesy of Turnpike Tourney, and the godfather from the great Don O'Malley always connects me at Chef Vola's, which the gambling gourmet is unaware of this, Mike Mayo. I mean, for a guy that's supposed to be so universally... Now, you can't have tried every restaurant in every city. So, I mean, it's not really a knock on the guy or anything like that, but he's not familiar with Chef Vola's, which I think is great. I really think it's one of the best places I've ever been. Other people might argue, hey, overhyped, but it's not really. But it's impossible. Like, nobody answers the phone there, and you can't make a reservation. It's impossible, right? You can leave a message, and the message essentially says, "Have a nice day," and GFY. Basically, go bleep yourself. Yeah, we might get back to you. We might not. So, yeah, I mean, and that's an option. There are some local places to eat there that probably aren't half bad. But, if you're losing your fanny while you're in Atlantic City, it can be a very rough trip, Lubie. I'm going to engage myself. I say I'm going to tread lightly after getting clobbered in my last gambling session. I mean, just annihilated. I say I'm going to tread lightly and nurse some money through some of these games. So help me out here with your bracketology. We haven't even really touched on that yet. People usually scream that somebody got screwed, right?
Yes.
And, as we mentioned, already theories out there. I mean, do they have this story pre-written? Duke gets favorable treatment from NCAA selection committee. Coach K does it again.
As they say, that's evergreen.
Right. So that was one of the big debates that I was reading about. I was trying to just... I don't know that I had any strong opinion about any of it. It seems like the top teams that were seeded, nobody was screaming too much about that, were they? Baylor looked like they, kind of fluctuated into the negative a little bit at the end of the regular season. All of these teams were number one at some point in time, correct? Including Gonzaga, which kind of was there for I want to say the majority of the season in terms of, I would think they were number one more for a longer period of time than any other team was in college basketball this year, although, it was divided among many, many different entities, too. Some that faded, in the late game of the season and aren't even a factor anymore. Now, so you're saying Michigan had no business getting in there with like a losing record?
It's just weird. They were 17-14, which is not a record that gets you in, and they lost 3 of their last 5, including getting pummeled in the first round of the Big Ten tournament. I don't understand what they would get in on.
The obvious joke applies here, no? I mean, Juwan Howard threatened to punch somebody that was on the selection committee if they didn't punch his ticket to the big dance. Canes, number 10 seed, Canes, Jim Larinaga, put up a nice battle against the Dukies, who then subsequently lost. My theory went up in smoke when Virginia Tech, who was deemed to be, I have to give this one writer, where we always, they've changed. I don't know if they just changed the name or they changed the service in my New York Post that now gives you the top picks of the day or whatever. And it's now something called Action Sports. Isn't that one of the Greeks' outfits? Action Sports.
No clue.
So, and it used to be the Vegas Sports Information Network was providing this, small little, boxed feature with some selections for the day. And it could have been any sport. And as I said, all of these guys write very eloquently. They're used to statistical material. I think, it makes perfect sense. I mean, they follow a nice line of rationale. When you're reading this stuff, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, that makes sense. Looks to me like the Flyers are going to do it. And then you get the result of the game, and the team that they love took a pounding. I mean, just suffered their worst beating in the history of the franchise. And you come right back the next day and read the guy's stuff, and it sounds great again. What does that tell you about this whole degenerate application we're trying to become a part of here, Lubie?
don't think it's
That's
is
what
that
trust your own instincts. I mean, it pays. I would say this: it pays to watch games, no, and try and formulate your own
helps.
opinion.
Yes, that helps. Yes.
What do you think? So, but I'll give this guy credit, whoever it was, and I think they replaced the Vegas Sports Information Network, maybe because of a conflict with DraftKings and FanDuel, because I think DraftKings bought that was Brent Musburger's outfit. Where we were talking about this for a long time, the Brent Musburger, and he seems like a decent guy in this regard because I respect the fact that he enjoys gambling. He kind of touched on these things. Did he not? I mean, when Phyllis George, who was on CBS today, NFL Today on CBS, when Phyllis George was on the set there, and the Greek would give out his picks and then take like a brutal misogynistic shot at Phyllis George right there on national TV. Musburger would kind of, he was the go-between. He was trying to, play a little Mills Lane there and separate the two. And but he seemed to be leaning towards the Greek. Because Greek was a degenerate, right? They probably hung out at the track together. I ran into Musburger a couple of times at Gulfstream Park. Would wear the cowboy hat, and he just seemed to be having a good time, like he was a regular dude, right? Knew that he, whatever. Would you say? See, I don't feel like this is all an act. Do we all put on an act when you're in some form of entertainment or news or sports media? I don't think so, right? We're just trying to make a living being ourselves, correct?
Some guys do put on an act, which I find fucking annoying. We don't.
No, this is us. Yeah.
Meet me. They're like, okay, that's you. Yeah, that's me. And whenever they meet you, they're like, he sounds like he's doing a show. I'm like, no, that's just him. That's Defo all the time. Like, that's just Defo. Like, he's always the same guy, whether he's here at the track, at the Super Bowl.
This is how I think. It's just the way I observe things, right? Which is what we're paid to do, is be observers. Correct? And pass our observations along. And now we're trying to figure out what the hell to do with this tournament here, because I can't be in Atlantic City, New Jersey, under the premise that, I was originally going to Las Vegas to be part of the giant atmosphere that is the first round. And the opening day, the games start at 12 o'clock. And if you haven't watched a college basketball game all year, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, man, did you see Rhode Island yesterday? And you're talking to, the maintenance guy at the apartment complex that you're in or whatever. And, he all of a sudden is wearing like, a Rhode Island T-shirt and can name everybody on the roster. And you're like, when did this happen? Nobody in this town, especially where we are, Lubie, we're buried in just an abyss for college basketball. Poor Jim Larinaga. How many times? Don't you sense that in his voice when he's on the show, that he's begging the public to recognize that the University of Miami has a team?
What do you mean? It was at the first time when we talked to him twice over the last month, but the first conversation, he literally, because it had just happened after the FSU debacle, and he was literally saying, and I went to FSU. I don't remember it being this great home court. Now over the last 15 years, the Lane County Civic Center has actually become one of the best home court advantages. Like, FSU's lost like 4 times.
Leonard, man, I mean, God bless him, man. I mean, to use a little euphemism there, and sorry to offend any atheists, but I mean, everything he wanted to do in Miami, he kind of did at Florida State.
Yes, I mean, they program. Them not making it this year was like a big deal.
Big home atmosphere. You know how dead it was? They used to play their games at the Miami Arena. I was calling the games, as you know, when Leonard was a coach there for a couple of years. And, I mean, it was, you need, if you're doing play-by-play, there's nothing better than crowd noise to kind of carry the broadcast and sort of dictate the pace and the tone of what you're saying. Right? All of a sudden, the crowd erupts. A guy gets knocked down in a prize fight, and you're on the play-by-play, and all you have to do is kind of ride that wave of enthusiasm a little bit. And when you're doing a game and it's just dead, like poor Glenn Geffner in those Marlins broadcasts, huh?
That's rough.
Right? You hear Geffner going, okay, second and third here, 2 away, and 3-2 count on the hitter. And I tell you what, this guy has really been on fire. And in the background, you hear, yeah, Tony, no, I said 2 Cokes. 2 Cokes. And then they show a shot of the stands, and it's like you can see the guy. He's in right field, and he's the only guy at the ballgame.
That's like sad. But that's what Larinaga felt like. Larinaga came on, and after that game, the first thing he said was that crowd was electric. Like, instead of talking about the foul and them losing, That crowd was electric. Come on, Canes fans, we need you to come out. It sounded like a marketing guy.
We have like Duke on Saturday, and I can't believe you schmucks won't come out. No, but I mean, Larinaga would never approach it like that.
Oh no, it's just funny.
But in essence, I mean, we're not a town that is a big college basketball.
No.
Here in South Florida. Now, fortunately, we're talking to people around the world here, and I get messages now from different people around the country that have found a show, which is great. Ion Channel. You click on a Defo show, bingo, man, you're in. And you can Google the shows, and we have a lot of good stuff now. I mean, the archives of these shows, I don't know. Do you see what these musicians are selling, their portfolios for? I mean, 300-400 million, right? Dylan got like 300 million. What's McCartney going to get when he finally sells out? Can you imagine? Hey, Paul, how much you want for that?
Yeah, because I think after Michael Jackson bought all the Beatles anthology or whatever the hell they call it.
Yeah, that was the Beatles, though. You don't think McCartney has his own stockpile of
I think he has all of it. I think McCartney got all of it, I think it was smart he did.
Yeah, who else just cashed in? Springsteen? I mean, a lot of these guys are cashing in.
Yep.
Unbelievable. So, anyway, we're so happy that this is going to be happening here for the tournament because we did give you some winners. Mark Lawrence was on it. He had the Pistons getting 14 in a hook. They lost by 11 to the Celtics, who were on fire, Lubie, on fire. And I know you don't want to admit it, but the Celtics on fire, Lubie. How are you going to stop him, right? This guy Tatum goes for like 50 points in spectacular fashion every night. Steph Curry looks like a journeyman compared to this guy.
Journeyman.
And this Jaylen Brown, he dunks over like a 9-foot-tall guy. I mean, they're playing some exciting ball there. The boys in Beantown have to be happy about that. Only Red Auerbach. I don't know what happened to this team because they look like a bunch of bag ladies as recently as like the All-Star break. No? The Boston Celtics.
Yeah. They were out of the play. Like they were like the 7th, 8th seed or even worse. In the last like month, it's been like insane.
Spoelstra, Coach of the Year. Does he get Coach of the Year? Erik Spoelstra. Or is it a foregone conclusion? It goes to the guy that everybody loves. It's coaching the Phoenix Suns. Who did they just beat by like 50 points? Oh, the Lakers.
Yes.
It was like Suns 140, Lakers 37. It was unbelievable. All 37 points going to LeBron James in that ball game. All right, we got to tell you about Hialeah Park. I'm excited about the NCAA tournament. Is the hype building up to the tournament worthy of, the thing does get exciting, doesn't it, Lubie? Because it's great seeing some of these stories. I mean, Segredo's got to be just almost in tears already, and he's not even coming on until Wednesday, talking about, like, the little guy that, I love this kind of stuff. I'm a big Horatio Alger, sports story type of guy. I think those are great. When a team knocks off, like, North Carolina, bunch of schminks, and nobody's over 6 feet tall. You're thinking, wow, what is that team out there? Now it is true. A couple of things do hold up. Interesting. And the teams that stay together seem to have an edge over certainly over the one-and-doneers, correct? The one-and-doneers at this time of the year have more of a tendency to freeze up and choke because there is something to be said, people. I know it seems hard to accept when you have no experience. And I don't know, that's a hard concept to grasp, is it not, Lubie? But we've seen it so many times, especially in the highest levels and at the highest levels of professional sports, where a team has to kind of get there and hover around the top before they finally get over the proverbial hurdle and win a championship, correct? NBA especially true. NFL to a degree. You can see that's applicable, no? Major League Baseball, right? The Atlanta Braves last year, they kind of hovered there. They were getting there. Then they made a run, and they looked like, and that's why I liked them going into last year, the Atlanta Braves, to win it all, because, and they did it without Acuna, who now, I guess, comes back. Anybody heard anything about this guy?
No, he's going to be back and be a monster. Like, he got hurt early. Okay. Like, it's insane that they were able to win it without him. And the Freeman talk is interesting. Supposedly, I think they're going to be able to keep him. I haven't heard for sure.
You know who's favored, though, to win the National League East this year?
The Mets?
The New York Mets.
Well, they have, they got Scherzer, and they still have DeGrom.
They just picked up this kid from Oakland. It was like 12-4 last year for a couple of pitching prospects. So now they have DeGrom, they have Scherzer, and I forget the guy's name. It might have been, what was it, Bass? Something like that? I don't know. But anyway, they pick up a guy, and he was 12-4 with a reasonably low ERA, especially by American League standards. And now going to be like the third man, I guess, in the rotation for the New York Mets, which isn't too shabby, right? Somehow they'll blow it, though, won't they? Holy Elio Chacon. What am I saying here? What are we doing talking baseball anyway, Lubie?
Well, free agency has been interesting because they settled things. It was like a free agency explosion over the weekend.
All right. We have Hialeah Park in the background for a reason, because it's a great place to hang out. And the horse racing alone is not only historic there, but now, I mean, probably, and I'm going to be in a Borgata race book, and that's okay. You know what? Sometimes it's a little hard to squeeze in a bet. The people are generally accommodating. There's, some good food nearby. It doesn't come close, honestly, as well designed as it is. Doesn't come close to touching the arrangements that you will find at the Champion Simulcasting Room if you're a horse player at Hialeah Park. Now, the jackpots, Lubie, it's insane. Have you heard from Steve Calabro recently?
No.
I haven't heard from him either. I hope he's okay.
It's like 20 to 30 grand a day that they're having in one jackpot. Like, what the hell?
So it seems. I mean, like every day, you get these things on Facebook. It's like, hey, look at that, Royal Reels. And it's another one of those slot machines that I don't really understand. But all of a sudden, if you have like 5 of these knights with shields across the bottom, 53 dimes. Unbelievable. 53 dimes. I mean, that's a nice score, huh? Walk out of a casino with that. You walked in there with a couple of $100. Now you're getting a very generous allotment of free play for getting a player's card right now. So make sure you do that. I mean, I saw some of the promotional material for this, and they're really bending over backwards to make sure that the customers have every chance to have the time of their lives every time they enter the dazzling casino at Hialeah Park. So check out HialeahPark.com, and you'll see all of that information. And better still, I mean, make your plans. You want some great food and drink at it's cheaper than going to the store now, Lubie. It really is, the way the prices of food. I don't know how they maintain their ability to keep the prices down. It's just part of the generosity of the Brunetti family there. As they don't want you coming there and, all of a sudden you got to lay out you think it's going to be cheap eating on the boardwalk there if you're in a casino in Atlantic City? No. Listen, way. Mustang, let's go outside, get a slice of pizza for $1.50. It's the size of that Klitschko poster back there. It's great. But they take care of you at Hialeah Park. That's what it's all about. So check them out. I mean, the information's there, HialeahPark.com. As I said, a lot of special events, a lot of special occasions. If you're having a special occasion, it's a great place to consider. And it's always a good time, whether you're punching a horses, playing poker, in a casino, just going in there to soak up some atmosphere and some great food and drink. Always a good time to be at Hialeah Park. All right, we're coming back with more. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He is Mike Lubitz. Did we ever introduce ourselves today? I think we just started yapping, and that was it. Huh?
That was the first time. Good morning.
Okay. And we also, love to feature Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill here. John Kajemi's going to join us, and we'll get back to this thing with Tom Brady. I think John is enough of a basketball fan. He probably gets into if you played college sports like he did at the University of Pittsburgh, following in the footsteps of the great Dan Marino. Do we still have the NFL Films music there? Well, we might have to zip some of that out today.
Having
we introduce John.
In a while. I have
right? As soon as you hear that, you hear Facenda from the grave, right? Following in the footsteps of the great Dan Marino. This man, John Kajemi, is going to join us, and he'll be brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. I don't know that he bought into the Brady retirement, overwhelmingly so. Do you remember John's position on that, whether he was going to come back or not?
I don't think he was like...
Nobody knew, right, yeah.
No one thought he was done forever. Like, that was the problem with the freaking retirement.
I did. I thought he was finished.
I thought he was retiring, like I said earlier, me and my sister-in-law sort of had a little argument. She's like, no, it's just rumors. He's not going to retire. I'm like, nah, it's too big for him to not retire. But I didn't think I didn't know if it was going to be forever. Like when Tesler was confident about a month ago that he was for sure to get back to the Niners.
He said that with certainty, right? I remember being sort of jolted back in my seat here, Lubie, going, what? What do you know?
He must be coming back because it felt weird when he left. Like he didn't really want to, but the news was out and he felt like an idiot not retiring, so he just did. Like it's never felt like he wanted to. Look, the season he had last year was one of his top 3 or 4 statistical seasons ever. Like what he did last year was nuts.
No, it was great. I mean, I thought he was shot 5 years ago. We were professing this to everybody, including those friends of ours from WEEI, right?
Yep.
I mean, it couldn't have been, more emphatic in our estimation that Brady was a shot fighter. He was starting to make clown plays. And that's the first sign when you're dropping back and then you slip and you throw the ball up in the air and a lineman picks it off and then you make some feeble attempt like you're still like one of the worst faked professional wrestling moves you've ever seen. Right? You're at some armory somewhere and it's like a D league of wrestlers. And the guy misses by like a mile, and then he's still walking around, the opponent like he was slammed into pain. And he makes this faint attempt to tackle the guy, and the guy goes back like, somebody that's running like a 6'9" 40. Not even, right? Just some big fat lineman beats him for, a pick six. Clown plays, right? Your boy, your man, Jameis Winston. I don't want to get into any jackpots there. That's my colloquialism for anybody. Yeah, your boy, but
your buddy, yes, your guy, yes. That's what we.
Your man, Jameis Winston.
Yes.
What was starting to with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers make clown plays to the point where Bruce Arians had to attach whatever that device is to his chest just so he could survive. The wrenching of the body as he watched somebody pick off a Winston pass in the flat and go all the way back for a game-opening touchdown. Is there anything more deflating, speaking of Deflategate, than throwing a pick six on the very first play of the game? I guess the last play of the game to get beaten. Well, you wouldn't be throwing the ball in that spot, would you? Like Lubitz. I mean, it could with like a minute to go.
Yeah, you could be down and you could be trying to score and throw a pick six. Yes, it definitely can happen.
Did Marino throw a pick six in that game against the Jacksonville Jaguars where they lost 63-7?
I'm sure.
Jimmy like left on the bus with a gun to his head. I mean, he was just absolutely beside himself that he was going to. And was that Marino's last game? That couldn't have been the way he went out the door. It was,
that
right?
was the whole thing. People were like, "Is he really going to go out that way?" And
oh my God, Danny Boy!
Can he really come
as
back?
Much as I love Danny Boy, I was at that game, and it was hard to watch. It really was. After a while, I mean, you were looking at. I think it's time for the champ to hang it up.
That's what it felt like. Yeah, it felt like the end. That was rough.
My God, Jay Fiedler came in and cleaned up against the Miami Dolphins defense that day. It's not like the defense was playing great either.
No, the whole team was.
The offense did 0.0, Blutarski, but the defense wasn't exactly razor sharp. I mean, they gave up like 63 points, and half of those were to Jay Fiedler, convincing the Dolphins organization that Jay Fiedler would be the quarterback of the future, that Danny Boy was finished, and sure enough, he comes in there with a bum shoulder, and he was never the same again. It wasn't like Drew Brees came back.
No.
With the bum shoulder there.
Nope.
Do you believe, I mean, we played this game with Tony Segreto a couple of weeks ago on the show. Do you believe that had the Dolphins taken Drew Brees, that he would have evolved into the quarterback that he became under Sean Payton with the New Orleans Saints? Or would he, too, have been like many Dolphin quarterbacks since Marino have been doomed to, at best, seeking some simmering level of mediocrity, my friend?
The people assume that if Brees was here, Saban would never have left because they would have had so much success. I don't know.
Yeah, do you believe he would have stayed, Nick Saban?
I don't know. I think Brees and Peyton had a lot to do with each other's success, just like Brady and Belichick. Like,
yeah.
Drew Brees was a good talent that Sean Payton helped make elite, and Sean Payton was a good coach that I think Drew Brees helped make elite. Like, I don't know what he would have been here. Like, Saban wasn't so offensively skilled as a coach. It took Saban a long time.
I don't think Saban, I mean, obviously a great coach. I mean, he can't do what he's doing and have no idea what he's doing.
Oh, he's good as a coach.
Right?
I mean,
it's, obviously the guy knows what he's doing, but I don't know if his game, it sounds like a cliche, works in the pros. I mean, Larry Coker was able to win with, great players, but, certainly wasn't a great coach. I don't think you could say that about Nick Saban, right? I mean, the consistency with which he's won at, if he was a fool, he would have screwed it up at some point, even with the best players on the planet, no?
Yeah, look, I mean, he was solid enough in the pros where I think he would have been fine, but the idea that he would have automatically made Drew Brees what Drew Brees became in New Orleans, I think is sort of stupid. Like, I think Sean Payton was great offensively. Like, Saban wasn't. It took Saban till Lane Kiffin came to realize, you don't just have to run the ball on offense. Like, he wasted Julio Jones. Like, he was never this wide open offensive guy until Lane Kiffin. So who is to say that in the pros he would have figured that out with Drew Brees, he may have. He was a good enough coach to realize, shoot, we have this kid, but no one knew what Brees really could do until Peyton. So I don't know. I always thought that was a weird look. He was better conditioned than Culpepper. Culpepper couldn't. You talk about Peyton needing a walker. Culpepper was done, but like.
Oh no, Culpepper, that was sad to watch. It really was. That season with Dante Culpepper.
It was rough.
Literally like limping onto the field for the opening snap.
Yep.
They would be announcing at quarterback, Dante Culpepper out of the University of Central Florida. And you're thinking, who is that coming across the field there? Is that Kevin Spacey as Verbal Kent and the usual suspects? I mean, quasi-freaking Moto? I mean, who is that? And the poor guy then was stuck running the ball behind yet another, you'll find a surprising, porous, suspect, makeshift Dolphins offensive line. Patchwork, makeshift. We never figured out which one it was.
Would have been better, but I don't know if he necessarily would have been a Hall of Famer. I think he went
with
to
Saban have stayed, though. I guess, you know what? I blew that, Libby, because I got lost in my own train of thought.
Yes, maybe.
Which I've had a big tendency to do today. But, yeah, I mean, would Saban have stuck around? I think he still would have gone back to the college ranks. He seems to really enjoy that game, and he understands it. Let's face it.
Well, he owns it. He owns it in a way no one ever has. Even the Bear didn't win at the rate he's winning in an area you're not supposed to win like that.
I mean, their front office is more powerful than any in professional sports, I would imagine, over there in Alabama, including any number of rather generous donations from guys named Elmo. That probably doesn't hurt their recruiting, funds whenever they go out there on the road. You think they always spend within the limit? I would imagine not. All right, John Kachemi going to join us next. It'll be a lot of fun talking with John. It's always great. Of course, we had a rooting interest in a golf tournament that mine went up in smoke, man. And I'm going to throw out the results because what happened to Koepka was just cruel. It really was. And he's one of my guys. So, I mean, he alone would have cost me any chance that I had of winning, no matter what the other six guys did. When he went from 3 under or 4 under to a +9, Lubie.
The whole thing was stupid. The weather sucked for like 3 days. Like, that's ridiculous that they just kept going with it. Like, from a gambling standpoint, they should have thrown it out. Like, I think that's a load of garbage. Like,
yeah, they get very dramatic on the Golf Channel. They start talking about wind, right? And you get like, Roger Maltby. Who, by the way, is Roger Maltby morphed into like Wilfred Grimley? You ever see this guy out there? You know, I'm talking about Maltby. He's always out there. And no matter what the technology now is, where like we can do like a network television show from our bedroom and have it look like, any other show that was on TV. Yeah. Why is this guy still wearing some like radioactive shield on his back and an antenna coming out of his head, to be like a sideline reporter? And when like you don't even need a microphone anymore, right?
Don't need anything. They put a thing here.
Nothing, man. Yeah, let's just talk. Hey, Freddie, you got a minute? Right? Freddie Couples comes over. They don't even have a mic going back and forth. But this guy, I mean, literally, he's loaded up like he's on his way, to try and make sure that nothing bad happens at Chernobyl.
I was going to say, like, it's the spacewalk.
Yeah, I mean, the Russian soldiers that are occupying Chernobyl right now aren't outfitted with like anti-radioactive stuff like Maltby is, just to do a report from the family. It looks to me like a pretty tough lie here. All right, back to you, Paul. But he's starting to look like Wilfred Grimley to me. I don't know about you, Libby.
I agree.
Put him up there as our dead ringer for the day. All right, John Kachemi, a dead ringer for any handsome gentleman you could think of. This guy should have been, forget about Craig, right? Daniel Craig. Should have been James Bond, huh? Kachemi?
Feels like
would have fit the bill, right? Pierce Brosnan, a lot of people didn't think he was a great James Bond. Kachemi could have filled that role. Because he looks the part, and he has that superhero kind of feel to him. And he's coming up next year as we go Dateline Dolphins, which obviously much to discuss there. I mean, wild free agency going on, Mike Lubitz. Trades? And when do you see trades of actual players in the NFL? That never happens.
The Dolphins are supposedly going to be active at the positions of need. Ooh, who knew?
Pam Grier there ought to, hopefully get on his game there. Chris Grier, of course. If he slammed me into a wall, if I was doing one of those Jim Rome, Jim Everett things, would he be wrong? No, I'm sorry about that.
I mean,
that was a very, very cheap shot. That was meant to be a joke. All right. I made a joke on some guy's Facebook thread, right? He was talking about how mistreated he was at a local newspaper that let him go, right? And you know me, I always put the same response down there out of The Godfather. This is the business we have chosen. I mean, we're unceremoniously just dumped out of nowhere, right? That's the way it is. Right? What are you going to do? You pivot and you do something else. And the guy got all heavy with me, like, oh, yeah, you're painting the whole industry with a broad brush, Deforrest. What do you know?
What do you
Dude,
mean?
it was just a joke, man. I mean, you're a little paranoid because you got fired from this job. I mean, find something else to do, right?
It's dying.
Tell fuller brush. Do something. Hey, vey. All right, John Kajemi, always a pleasure having John on the show. Many things to talk about with John. He's coming up here, brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, and that is right there at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. Arrangements are being made with Tommy Fox, dare I say it, to get solidify our appearance down there and our show from there, which we're looking forward to. Looking forward to talking to John here about a lot of things that are happening in football, golf, and maybe the rest of the world as well in just a moment. Now that.
The time!
It's 8:05.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
Jimmy Johnson joins us here on the program, along with John Kajemi, and it's Dateline Dolphins, of course, Leslie Visser, the lovely and talented one.
Did you trademark that expression, by the way?
Now, how about them Cowboys? I should have.
Oh, you did?
I'm not a businessman, as Larry Calvano will know. Jerry Jones is a businessman. Now, Jerry Jones is the smartest businessman that I've ever been around. He knows how to make money, and he works at it night and day. He trademarked my "How about them Cowboys?"
He trademarked
it.
Of course.
I don't get a penny off those shirts. Not one penny.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
It was with great boldness that he stepped forward and entered the PGA Champions Tournament field with an entry that looked like it was. I mean, it looked like you were going to win this thing. I can't even do this, John Jimmy, because we got destroyed, man. I mean, wind is a 4-letter word.
The weather was an atrocity. It was such a
We're
joke.
out of it. No, but I mean,
considered not coming on this morning, guys. I really did.
You had it going on, Kajemi. You did. I thought, wow, this guy. I knew he was a good luck charm. He turned us on to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Tommy Fox is working on deals on top of deals, with regards to this segment and the show. And I thought, wow, first-time entry. Look at him. He's got Joaquin Neiman. Nobody would have picked this guy, right? Did you not have Charles? What's the guy? Is it Charles Noren? No,
I have Hatton.
That's Charles Gorin. There's the bridge
Let me
guy.
see who else I had.
Alex Noren.
It was bad. It was bad, guys. It was
But
bad.
all your guys were like 3, 4,
We were
5 under par, like in the beginnings of the opening round. I mean, this looked like it was going to be a Kajemi festival, a 4-day ride on the front end, like you were Irad Ortiz on a 3 to 5 shot in the Belmont Stakes. Under
Oh
wraps.
man, I've never. I think I blew out my. I have tennis elbow from checking my phone to see how the lineup was doing. I've never done this before.
Oh, it was so
right?
great. Yeah.
It
The
was
first
great.
round is hectic.
Yeah.
And it gets better after that. I mean, unfortunately, no, all of my guys were out on the course pretty much. I had I had Koepka, who, you're thinking, wow, this guy's doing great. Justin Thomas was playing well. He actually, I think, is still in the mix there to win the tournament. Justin Thomas.
Yes.
And Koepka's like 3 or 4 under par. And the course is, as they say, benign. Why do they do that, by the way, John and Jimmy? And what we're talking about, of course, is our golf pool on the Tournament Players Championship, which I roped John into an entry on, and it was his first go. And if you like golf, though, which you do, I mean, is it not a lot of fun? Even if you bust out on the first day, it's rough, but you could see what it would be like if you were in it for 4 days. It would be absolutely, just amazing watching every shot.
I was hooked because I've never checked my phone that much.
Yeah.
On a golf tournament, right?
Yeah.
So I've got all my guys segmented. They're all at the top of the list. They all have a little star next to them. So I'm going down and I'm going, wow, okay. Leishman's hanging in there. Neiman's knocking it out of the park. DJ hasn't played, in a while. He's doing
you
good.
had Dustin Johnson too.
Yeah. Homa's going. Okay, we got it. Cantley's he's sucking hind titty, but Morikawa too was bad. But Horschel's going, right? So I'm figuring I've got some guys. All we need to do is have our best players start playing. And it was Morikawa and Cantley. But I guess, if I ever do this again, guys.
Oh, no, you're coming right back. The Masters
for next year.
The Masters is up next. You're in.
Okay.
I trust
You
your
did well.
judgment.
It wasn't, you can't control God. Like that
now,
was.
listen, this is something I've learned. Tournament Players Championship played anytime before May. You have to go morning, afternoon, no matter where your guys are at.
Oh,
you
that's
have to
great
pick
thinking.
the
See, that's
morning
handicap.
wave and then the afternoon wave, because the opposite way, the stats back it up. They said the last, 12 to 15 winners, more than 70 or 80% were morning wave, afternoon wave. So that's how you have to kind of pick your team.
It was ugly. I mean, that second day. All right, so I'm picking it up because I had probably all of my guys were in contention. I like my worst guy was Morikawa, and he was for the most of the round like 1 under par.
Yeah,
which wasn't going to win anything, but as long as you're thinking all my guys have
Get
to
in.
make the cut, and then we'll let it roll from there, right? So hopefully you have a couple of guys that take off, and the rest of the guys improve a little bit each day, and you walk away with a nice piece of cash. I think it was 5 times on the line in this one. And then they got stuck out there that second day. Wow, did that not look like the opening round of the British Open, on one of those Irish courses that is like, what is that, the Baltic Sea? I don't know what body of water it is, the Bering Straits. I mean, it's just a brutal body of water where you're thinking, do these guys ever go for a swim in there? And
No.
the answer would be no, right? And everybody looks pasty, and they're all wearing like heavy wool hats covering
The
their
dogs
ears.
don't even go in
gloves.
the water there.
Right.
Yeah.
And
They
that's
look
what
at
it
their
looked
owners
like.
what are you crazy?
That's what it looked like in Jacksonville. And all my guys are trying to finish that first round. And I think you got stuck with a few of them also. And those guys just, they had no chance. I mean, it really did look like the opening scene in a British novel. It was so ugly. And Koepka goes from like 3 under, very much in contention. And with the new hair, he looks like he's really going to do something. I don't know. Did he blow off the girlfriend, Koepka? I didn't see her.
I don't think so. No, I think she's still around. Yeah.
He doesn't treat her with a whole lot of respect when he wins, John. I mean, I would imagine if Mrs. Kangemi came up to you after you won one of those celebrity golf tournaments, I mean,
Gotta
she
give
jumps
her a
in your
tight
arms.
hug.
Yeah, like she's
look at
on
her
The
in
Bachelorette.
their eyes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But Koepka just, he's high-fiving a couple of guys, and he just like blows past his girlfriend, and then she's, drafting in behind him. And I thought, I don't know about that relationship. I was going to take the under on that, but I didn't see her around. Anyway, he's 9 over by the time the round is over. I mean, loses 12 strokes to par on like the last, whatever that was. I don't know. What did he play? Like 10, 11 holes?
I've never seen a hole play 136 yards play so difficult. And it was actually, you're watching it as a golfer, and you're going, this is how I feel when the wind's coming out of the east at maybe 4 miles an hour. I've got 110 yards to this wide open green, and I don't know what I'm going to do with the, how am I going to get it on the green? Those guys finally look human because I think it got in their head. Not only was it so difficult to play an island green type of hole, but the wind over the gallery and the stanchions that they had built. If you got it over 90 feet, it seemed like 90% of the guys hit it in the water. If they tried to, take it underneath the wind, you had a better chance, but not, very slim chance to hit the green.
That sculling line drive that skids off the green and goes off the back into the canal there. Unbelievable. There were some stats on that. The first day, the guys that went out early, that's why I thought like Tommy Fleetwood Mac, who I didn't take, and maybe Zalatoris would be big factors because they already had posted low scores. And that looked like it was just going to be a ridiculously extreme advantage for those players because if they just played like everybody else the rest of the way with the struggles, you figured, okay, those 6 unders that they posted early on were going to be the difference makers. But that didn't turn out to be the case. And then there were like 4 balls in the water the first day. Well, when these guys were playing under ideal conditions, and then it ramped up to like 50 on 17 alone by the time they got to yesterday. Although yesterday's conditions were good. And your man, Shane Lowry, ended up with a hole-in-one. Did you catch that?
I know it. No, it was between him and Leishman. I took the wrong Irishman. And
did you think he's like washed up, this guy, Shane Lowry? He's a great guy. He seems like a guy you could easily root for.
Actually, guys, I followed him at the Honda up at PGA.
Oh, you did? Okay.
We watched him. He was playing with Daniel Berger. So my son and a buddy of his, we all walked up and actually really good guy, seems like,
Seems like a great guy, like
engaging with the fans
and stuff.
Yeah, he was awesome. And he's a really good player. So we watched them for a few holes. And, I kind of always liked him since he won the Open Championship a few years back in his hometown. So in his home country. So it was kind of neat. But those guys that caught that morning wave that could sit at home for 2.5 days, laugh at the TV going, I'm 6 under. I don't have to pick up a club. For 2.5, 3 days.
Yeah.
And now you look at the leaderboard and they had, the luxury of the early tee time on Thursday.
They're like 100 guys, it seems like, that could win, though. As much as it's disappointing that none of our guys are we're not going to be a factor cashing on this particular tournament. When you look at what's happening, and can you imagine what the people who are in contention with this bet are going to go through today? And that's why it's also a very fascinating bet to just bet a guy to win a golf tournament. Like you might spread a few bucks around. I'm sure whatever the tournament is next week, I'll try to get some action on it when I'm in Atlantic City because, every now and then you can kind of sense a winner. But in this case, it would be absolute torment to watch this last round. There have to be are there 15 guys that could win, including your man, Shane Lowry?
It seems like at the top of the leaderboard, there's probably, I don't know, there's probably 20 guys within 3 shots.
When do you see that?
Lead.
Yeah. When do you ever see that?
Very rarely, especially at a course like this, because the difficulty of the golf course usually separates, 4 or 5 guys from the rest of the pack. There's always a handful of guys that are going to get hot and be able to handle tough conditions, tough setup on the golf course, just a really raw golf course anyway. And this week with the weather and the way things have gone, guys went out, posted a low round, sat around, and then guys were struggling, just to make the cut. But at the end of the day, you have 20 guys within probably 3 or 4 shots of the lead. So anybody can win. This is probably, may go into Tuesday if they have a playoff. I don't know how long they're going to be able to play.
Will they be able to hang
today.
out there?
Yeah, who knows?
Oh, well, with a playoff, maybe. That's possible. Now, do they don't go 18-hole playoff in this thing? They go sudden death, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think they go back and play 18, and then they may go back and play 17, or they keep repeating 18. I'm not sure how.
That's a weird one when they do that. I don't like when they do that. Play the same hole over and over again.
Yeah.
And they both do the same thing. Each guy, oh, look at this. He's in the trap again, and they make the same shots, and they get like 6 consecutive pars, and they go back out to 18 and do it all over again. No, it's a riot. You can see where it's a lot of fun. Betting golf, I think you get as much bang for your buck betting on golf as you do. And you don't have to bet big amounts of money. And all you have to do is cash in one of these things once, John, and you're good for like the next 10 years.
Well, I felt like I felt like I was back in the mix or back playing football. I've never cussed more in a day and a half at my phone.
Every putt's of paramount importance. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to go gray, Defo.
Yeah.
Like I'm worried about what was going on so bad. I'll never pick Billy Horschel again. He ended up withdrawing.
Oh,
Cantley's on my shit list. I'll never pick him again, right?
What did he end up doing?
Guys.
They had to issue a missing persons report for him. When he was like 1 under, he's cruising along. He wasn't doing anything great early on, but then he got caught up in that wave of guys that was in that disgusting wind. And but he disappeared. Like I couldn't even find him. They do this crawl on the Golf Channel of all the names, right, by score. And it's like, okay, I didn't see him. Where the fuck is this guy? I'll tell you who also. I mean, I'm having a hard time hating Sergio Garcia, seeing as somehow, I mean, this was going to be the wonderkind of golf. I don't know that he had like very lofty expectations. He probably, I mean, is he not accomplished enough to be considered, I mean, is he a Hall of Famer, Sergio Garcia? What do you think?
I think he's 42 years old. And they were commenting about, you mentioned Roger Malpe earlier. I think it was Roger Malpe and one other of the commentators said we're old enough to know when this guy challenged Tiger Woods at Medina when he was 19.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right? So he's 42 years old. He's had probably over 20 tournaments, probably, I would think, or 15 to 20 tournaments in his career. Has, a Masters. Yeah, I would think he's a Hall of Famer for sure. Multiple Ryder Cup winner, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was such a character, but he was easy to despise there for a while. I don't know. I mean, with that Leaping Leprechaun movie he made when he came out of the trap, that was like the signature thing, so he could see the ball. And at that point, he was like a charming young Spaniard, and he was getting babes, right? I mean, this guy was, easily could have been on a list that we were talking about with Jeter. And, and maybe even you could throw Aaron Rodgers in there at this point, although, he's in the older babe category until recently. But nonetheless, I mean, and everybody loved him. And then he seemed to become kind of a jerk, no? Like he fell out of favor. Was it because his play wasn't very good anymore? Or was it that his personality became a little more abrasive?
It was more of the personality, and it was more of the time he was taking to play golf at that time. Remember, when he was young, he would grip and re-grip the club maybe 16 times before he hit the golf ball.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So he goes to, I think he was either at Shinnecock or he was...
he looked like Ed Norton in that Honeymooners bit, right? Hello, ball. It's like, come on, Sergio, just hit that.
Come on, just hit the ball.
Yeah.
But the fans, I think the U.S. fans were getting on him so bad at one point that, it was going back and forth because he would say something to a rowdy fan watching, walking along with him, and then they say something back, and you'd have to get security. So it went on the, right on the edge for a while. And then all of a sudden, I think fans started to embrace him a little bit more because he became a little bit more humble.
Seems to be a more likable character. I mean, this happens sometimes with athletes where a guy that you were rooting against all the time, all of a sudden sort of won you over a little bit to his side, right? I wasn't, I did not like Andy Murray, but I wasn't like the biggest Andy Murray fan because I liked the other guys a lot better that were in the big three, especially Rafa, and Roger Federer. But, when you watch what this guy's doing today, and, he's all out to win a first-round match against a qualifier, but he's still gutting it out with, like, 2 new hips and everything. You're thinking, okay, there's a guy that's just playing for the love of the game. I can certainly applaud that. And maybe Sergio falls into that category now. Anyway, he somehow worms his way into the mix a lot of times in these major events, if you want to count the Players' Championship as like the 5th major.
Yeah. He made eagle yesterday on number 2, backs it up with another birdie early, and all of a sudden he's at 4 under, I think.
Yeah.
So
he's in there, with a shot. He was kind of treated eventually like Colin Montgomery was when he was on American soil here. And I think people resented, the business with Tiger, and they were obviously going to favor Tiger Woods over Sergio, and then seemed like everybody was rooting against him. But I find myself, almost in admiration of the fact that he can hang in there at 42. Anyway, the whole thing's a lot of fun. That's our, could you have enjoyed a tournament more for one round anyway than you did having money on it, which is our theory, John. I know it's hard to convert you to be a total degenerate, but a few bucks on a golf tournament makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, we may have to move the segment from Monday to Friday so I can fit in a little bit easier, right?
This isn't your $5 Nassau with Marino picking up the tab. What's the most you ever played? Well, you were playing for prize money, right, on the Celebrity Golf Tour? What kind of prize money were they giving out on that thing?
I think the largest purse was always in Tahoe, and that was $125,000 to the winner. But
what a great tournament that is too. Everybody loves that, man. The atmosphere is fantastic. Yeah,
I won a team event.
Oh, nice.
Mohegan Sun, and I believe that's in Connecticut. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yukinsville, Connecticut. I've been there many times. You might find that surprising.
Yes, you know the address too, right?
Yeah.
Hey, my partner was Billy Joe Tolliver, and he and I won the golf tournament, and we split $30,000. So each 15 each.
Wow. 30 times for winning a celebrity event. How good was Rick Rhoden, the former?
Very good.
I guess he was with what, the Dodgers and the Pirates.
Yes, he was the best. He was the best player out there in terms of winning percentage. It seemed like we were always going to the bar, and Rick was always going to bed, and we were figuring out why are we always losing these tournaments to Rick Rhoden, right?
Yeah.
So we went out and had a good time and tried to do the best we could, and Rick was winning all the tournaments and collecting all the money. Between him and remember John Brody, the quarterback of the 49ers?
Yeah. He was a serious golfer. He wanted to go on like the regular tour.
Yeah, played on the senior tour. He was one of the better golfers. Dan Quinn, a former hockey player, he was a very good golfer and won a lot of the tournaments. But we had a great time. We had a really good time. The biggest purse I ever won was that team event, but I did make a hole-in-one. Stan Humphries hosted the event out in San Diego when he was quarterbacking with the Chargers at the time. I played with Stan Humphries and George Gervin. Last hole,
the Iceman.
Yeah, the Iceman. Max Fly put up $50,000 for a hole-in-one. I made a hole-in-one. I won $50,000. Yeah,
50 times.
Yeah.
No wonder you're picking up every check, man. I mean, all of this cash that was flowing in your
pocket. At that time,
I
was flush, Depot. I could pick up. Now we're talking about golf on a Monday morning, and I need some help. I need some help picking.
One last guy off the Celebrity Tour, because it's interesting to think of being on that particular tour, and when you see the thing going on in Lake Tahoe, and like Elway throws a football to the guys in the boats, and they all go diving in like scantily clad girls in very, very revealing bikinis. It couldn't be any more fun. Barkley's out there, but Jack Wagner, man. I mean, the guy's in his 80s, man. How much? Who had more plastic surgery, Jack Wagner or Al Michaels? That's our poll question of the day.
I don't know.
Frank Gifford fell into that category too, because when he smiled, he passed gas. I mean, that's how tightly wound his face was.
It might have been. It might be Caitlin. She may take the cake. Wow. I mean, Wagner. He was good though, Jack Wagner, right? I mean, a real woman's heartthrob on soap operas. Real good golfer. Yeah, absolutely.
Was he a good guy? What did he?
Yeah,
what was he like?
Jack. Yeah, he hung out with most of the guys until we would call Jack by a different name because he had multiple personalities. So when he was the good Jack, he was able to come with us. When he wasn't, we just make sure he went to the other side of the bar.
So it wasn't like you were hanging out with Jack Nicklaus, is what you're saying.
No, Jack was fine. Jack was fine.
He's telling you stories about the memorial and, the 3-putt on 16.
Well, as soon as he got the guitar and started holding his ear to sing, that's when we'd punch him and tell him to go to the other side of the bar.
Wasn't exactly Tug McGraw. At least he passed on the DNA. Tug himself had a band that I saw one time, and it wasn't that great, but wow. I mean, he had the musical gene, that's for sure. His kid has parlayed that into a nice little career. All right, we'll get into this whole thing. Tom Brady coming back. How about that? Tom Brady? I mean, the only thing would have been a bigger shock is if he came back as a Patriot. I don't know. Were you surprised by that? We'll get into that with John Kajemi. But Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, we're on it with Tommy Fox, although no final arrangements, as you can imagine, with Tommy have actually been consummated as of yet. So we're working on that. But I would imagine we would have to do that soon. Get down to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, because what's better than going to the Keys in the springtime here and taking advantage of the beautiful spot and the great food and dining opportunities at Jimmy Johnson's?
Well, I know that people of South Florida have found their way to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill over the past month and a half, because this is the season to go. If you're going to the Keys, this is the time and the place. The weather's perfect. And the food is always spectacular at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Amanda and Dominic, my brother, sister-in-law, Larry, who owns the restaurant and downstairs, they do such a terrific job from the sports bar where you can hang out for 3.5 days to watch maybe 9 holes of the tournament this week.
Yeah.
Or you could go outside to the tiki bar and just kind of put your feet up and have a cocktail, or go down to one of the, by the pool side and hang out, put your feet in the pool and kind of just relax. And that's what Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill is all about. From the accommodations to the food to the service, it's second to none in the Keys.
Well, I think it would have been a good idea if Lubie really wanted to play Mr. Romantic and show the lovely Shirley, who he often speaks of on the show here. A lot of people don't know that's his wife. And it does seem like there's a little bit of a Svengali thing going on there. We thought Giselle was wearing the pants in that family. That turned out not to be true. But clearly, Shirley's in charge. But his 1-year anniversary, which we wanted to congratulate him on.
Congratulations.
What better place?
Yeah.
How did he not make arrangements to spend a night in one of those fabulous, townhouses, condos, literally like a royal suite at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill?
Yeah, that's the place to be, Lubie. You got to try to look into that. Get down there, and I know we're planning on it. I'm going to try to talk to Tom after the show today.
Oh, beautiful.
We can get that organized.
Is he taking your calls? Because I've tried him a few times to no avail.
He is. He might be on a little bit of the delay, but he eventually gets my call and comes back to us. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I'm only kidding. I mean, he's a great guy. There's no question.
He's busy.
Well, he's got 2 phones in his ear at all time. Buy,
Yes.
sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, because he's doing that stock thing that he does.
Right.
And, all on the up and up. I mean, it's not like he's in some boiler room somewhere, which would be the case with most of my acquaintances and business associates, right? Yeah, buy this thing. No, it's oil. I'm telling you. They found it there. Anyway, coming back with more John and Jimmy. Tom Brady, a lot of action on the NFL free agent circuit, and a lot of interest now. Of course, a lot of draft picks being put in play, and players, John, getting traded. Which, when did you ever see that? Where they traded like players for players?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Very unusual. Very unusual. So a lot to talk about with the NFL. It's Dateline Dolphins with John and Jimmy. Brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill here on the Defo Show. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He's Mike Lubitz. Peel yourself off the mat Monday. Thanks for joining us here on Eye on Channel, and we'll come back and talk some football with John in a moment. Now that. It's 8:32. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
We welcome to the show John Congemi, who joins us for Dateline Dolphins. John, how are you, my friend?
Defo, I'm doing well, and that's not the only thing that's going to reach a new height. I'll be at about 220, 225 after this football season if we visit too much. The food's outstanding down at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill.
Grab a bagel and a schmear, plus some Defo and Lubie. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz. We have the great John Congemi with us here at Dateline Dolphins. We do it with John every Monday. He's also doubling now as our golf correspondent. That was a lot of fun talking about that whole thing because, I enjoy it. And I don't know. I wanted to puke after Saturday. And what happened where I got completely destroyed in the golf pool. But, I probably, if I get a chance, so we'll take a look and see what happens later on, because this is going to be interesting. Many years ago when Tiger Woods won that Masters and everybody was flip-flopping, it happened last week also.
Yeah.
Where guys were just flip-flopping on the lead there. They were kind of going backwards a little bit last week at the Arnie Palmer thing that we talked about. But, it's fun to watch tournaments when that kind of drama is set up. I mean, you almost channel your inner Jim Nantz and, start thinking, hello, friends, I've got to take a look at this. All right, Tom Brady, I mean, what kind of element of surprise did this take you by, John Kajemi? That A, he returned altogether, and that B, it's with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
70-30. I kind of think that Tom Brady wasn't done. But I once he announced that he was going to retire, I figured, you know what, maybe 70-30 goes to 50-50. And I'm kind of thinking he's going to stay retired because Tampa Bay's got him in a corner. They really can't deal him to maybe a San Francisco or somewhere else that he may want to go, to his liking. So if he doesn't want to come back and Tampa's not going to re-sign, I don't know, they have like 20, 21 free agents. If they're not going to get the bulk of their free agents back or improve, maybe, get rid of some of the players that Tom may have, be iffy on or lukewarm about. But I have to credit the management really of the Tampa Bay Bucks to keep that door open and keep that conversation going, because either Giselle or Tom, after 2.5 months or a month and a half away from the game, said, hey, you got to go play football, or I got to go play football, because I don't know if I'm going to hang around, doing the same thing.
Familiarity breeds contempt. I mean, that's all I can think of there.
I think he can still play football at such a high level, Defo. Why quit? I mean, and you're going to make another $20 million or whatever it is.
I think he's doing another like $25 million on that $50 million deal. No.
Yeah, and you always have
which is low. I mean, think about Kirk Cousins just got $35 million to lead the Vikings.
I think when it's all said and done, that guy he's probably going to make the most money of any quarterback that ever played.
Yep.
Yeah.
He keeps getting 1-year deals for 25, 35.
Yep.
It's on franchise tags while he was in Washington. It's incredible how much money he's made.
He and Neil O'Donnell are my two favorites in that category. Neil O'Donnell kept getting signed as a free agent for like ridiculous money. He would play 1 year somewhere, not play all that well, and then somebody else would sign him the subsequent year and give him even more cash. Kirk Cousins, for being okay, I mean, would you say that he's upper tier?
I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah.
I really don't.
No.
And he's been franchise tagged like 17 straight seasons, and somehow has made the average of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. Which, a guy's getting $50 million now. I mean, it's not an unfavorable position to be in, especially since he probably would only mandate like 1-year contracts anyway. Right?
I think he's been living off of that for the majority of his career. I'm not so sure how many years Kirk Cousins has played. I'd have to guess 12. 13, something like that.
Yeah, he's been in the league for a long time.
I would say 6 of those years he played on a 1-year deal for over $25 million.
It's amazing, yeah. So Brady comes back, and that has impact. Now, unfortunately, if you've ever engaged a criminal attorney for any reason, they will tell you right away not to worry about being indicted, because the saying in the legal profession goes that any prosecutor can get any grand jury to indict a pencil. Okay, that's how they look at it. Okay, so now Deshaun Watson, I guess maybe it's a little more vague in sexual assault assertions because it's hard to prove in court, and prosecutors don't necessarily want to take. But these were the prosecutors bringing the case in front of a grand jury, and they said, "Nada, senor, man, we're not going to indict this guy." In spite of all, I mean, the numerous complaints against him. So you would have thought maybe they found one of these people that was coming forward to be credible enough that would hold up on a witness stand and get a conviction in this case. So where does that leave him? Now, all of a sudden, there are all these civil suits, but I'm not sure how they're impacted by the fact that there are no criminal charges. You would have to think your natural instinct is to believe that, the civil suits then probably hold less weight, but I don't know. What do you think is going to happen with this guy?
Well, I don't think he's going to stay in Houston. I would say that I think New Orleans is one of the destinations everybody's talking about. I think Pittsburgh could be a nice fit for Deshaun Watson if I'm looking to go play quarterback somewhere with a great defense. a lot of pieces on offense. If they can draft well and kind of fix that offensive line either in free agency as well as the draft, that would be a perfect destination for a guy like that. So I see Deshaun Watson playing next year and playing at a high level. I mean, he's won it now. He would be considered a top 6, 7 quarterback in the league.
He was having great years. I mean, Lubie says maybe some of that was inflated because he loved Tua, and he resented all of the talk about Deshaun Watson being, in the eye of the Miami Dolphins. And, he said, well, he did this and he did that, and it was all bogus because they were losing. I thought the guy, he looked great a couple of years ago, that's for sure. And, you have to believe that these quarterback-starved teams would benefit by having him. But do you alienate your fans, in your opinion? I mean, the fans will embrace a guy. We've looked at it and seen it many times where guys, supposedly implicated in all kinds of hideous different things, and maybe even has done them. And yet, as soon as he hits his first home run, everybody's standing up. Hey, good to have you on the team, Will Cordero. Right. Well, we don't care how many women were assaulting or whatever else you were convicted of or found to be guilty of. Do the fans originally have a cold shoulder to Deshaun Watson, or do they just go into the usual winning frenzy and say, "We don't care, man," and accept them with open arms?
I think it's the latter. I really do.
Like Pittsburgh, I mean, the people there. I mean, did they look at? Well, I mean, Roethlisberger was no saint. Let's put it that way.
Let's see. End of September, you're 4-0. You've already beat the Ravens once, and on Monday Night Football, you have Deshaun Watson come from behind to beat Cleveland. With a last-second touchdown. People are going to be standing up, going, "We knew this guy. That's all we needed was a quarterback." The people are going to forget about the whole 2020, fiasco off the field problems that Deshaun Watson had and move on and take him for what it is. He's a quarterback on a winning team that I really like the brand of the Steelers, if that happens to be the case. And I think, it'll be second and third mentions. I think the first mention is going to be what he does on the field for the majority of the fans.
This is Dayline Dolphins. We do this each and every Monday here on the Ion Channel, the Defo Show, with the one and only John Congemi. Follow him, hit him up on Twitter at John Congemi. So, talking to free agency, it's funny. The Dolphins for the last few years, they've made moves in free agency, and they actually made interesting moves, but they haven't done the big splash in a while. They went low cap, young players, and still were winning under Brian Flores. Went to the playoffs, and then almost went to the playoffs 2 years in a row. What's interesting is this year they have so much room under the cap where they have to spend, and they finally, with McDaniel, are supposedly in a place to hone in on certain spots, offensive line, running back, receiver. Of the areas of need, what's the area you want to see them target the most? And do you think, since you do work the Dolphins, what do you think they're going to target the most in free agency? And who are you looking at?
I think it's going to be a combination of offensive line and wide receiver. Now, they may end up picking up a veteran running back, or they may end up keeping guys like Duke Johnson and Philip Lindsay as their quote unquote veteran running backs, and maybe get a younger guy in the draft, because there's a lot of running backs. There's a ton of wide receivers. There's a good depth at the offensive line, and there's really good depth at the edge rusher position. Yep. So Emmanuel Ogbah is one of those guys that they didn't franchise. They ended up doing that with Mike Gesicki. So you have an opportunity. If Ogbah gets a really attractive offer somewhere else, you have to replace that position. So you may be looking into either free agency or the draft, because like I said, the draft is loaded with young edge rushers. And if you get the right guy that fits your system, you may not miss a beat. So I think that's where the Dolphins are focusing in on. And I would say, if you're going to improve offensively, even if you have a guru head coach in terms of schematically, he's going to be able to, beat you before the ball is snapped, you better get talent around Tua on the perimeter to help Jalen Waddle become to stack another great year on top of his rookie season. So that's where the Dolphins are focused. You have to have the magnifying glass. What type of wide receiver, what type of X or Z, the guys that are going to play on the outside, how can they help guys like Gesicki, who you move around in formations and how can you help a guy like Waddle? Do you do it in free agency where it's going to cost you a hell of a lot of money? We can tell by the way things have gone with Amari Cooper and Mike Williams staying with the Chargers. Guys are either trading their valuable pieces or they're holding on to them because they feel like those are guys we can build around. The guys that are trading, like the Dallas Cowboys and Cooper, feel like they have enough wherewithal. They have enough in their arsenal already to re-sign some of the other guys that can maybe be on the level of Amari or even surpass that. The Dolphins don't have a dominant guy on the outside. So you have to figure out, we need to go find one of those guys either in free agency or you better double down in the draft and make sure you're as good as you say you are, because you're going to have a target on you to start right away. Day one, you're going to be asked to produce.
All right, the 49ers were sitting there. I mean, we thought maybe there was an outside shot if Brady came back. He's a 49er. That's not going to be the case. They didn't, make any move. I guess Rodgers pretty much was going to go back to Green Bay. And, so that was ruled out, even though that loomed as a possibility. Not sure there's any conversation about Deshaun Watson becoming the 49ers quarterback, although that would certainly be an interesting piece to plug into the equation. So who's going to play quarterback there? And what does it say about their opinion of Trey Lance, the guy that they invested a very high draft pick in and who did sniff the field a little bit? And there was some thought that he would be the starter over Garoppolo, but they went with like a guy with a bum shoulder in Garoppolo who was very suspect in spots over Trey Lance. What happens with this guy, and how come there's no conversation about him becoming, at least I haven't heard any about him becoming a 49ers starter, and where do they go from here?
Well, I don't know, Defo. I think that, when you look at Shanahan, you look at Lynch, I think they have confidence in Trey Lance. I just think that Trey Lance got caught in the injury. Let's only give you half of the meal and see how you do. Where I don't know if he was just it takes time in the National Football League, unless you're just rare talent that you catch fire in your first couple of weeks as a rookie. You're on a pretty good team as the San Francisco 49ers are. You avoid injury and you keep building on those performances. Yeah, you may have a bump or two in the road, but as a team, you're good enough to overcome those obstacles. You're overcome like a 2-interception, 3-interception game, come back where you protect the football, you make a couple plays that determine winning or losing, and you build confidence off of that. I don't think Trey Lance ever got to that point in his rookie season. So now you have Jimmy G with the shoulder surgery. He may not be ready until training camp. The 49ers are going to have to be in a position, do we push all our trust in Trey Lance and deal Jimmy G, or if we can, or have them come back and compete again? I think probably that scenario is the worst case for the 49ers, because you either want one of these two guys to be the quarterback going into training camp, so you diffuse all that noise from your football team and all those headaches every day that the coach has to come up and give you coach speak for 5 minutes on the quarterback position. Those are headaches that the head coach, the quarterbacks, and the team really don't want to deal with.
John, it feels like the AFC West was already a very interesting division, and they had a very busy week last week, as you already have the Chiefs standing pat, it seems like, is one of the best teams in the league. The Raiders surprisingly made the playoffs and were really strong, really should have beaten the Bengals and gotten a playoff victory. Then you had the Chargers sitting right there outside the playoffs. Go and get Khalil Mack to finish off the week there with Bosa, and then you have Derwin James on the back of that defense. And then the Broncos before that go and get Russell Wilson to pair with a team that supposedly is ready to win now, just needed a quarterback. When you look at the AFC West, do you see even the Bills? Do you see anyone challenging? Like, that division seems ridiculous right now.
Yeah, I would think one of those teams are petitioning to play in the AFC East, because you figure you got an easier chance, if you're, get to 8 or 9 wins there than you do in the West. You mentioned the defensive moves with Khalil Mack going to the Chargers. You mentioned Russell Wilson now in the division. I think that's going to be a shootout. I mean, that's going to be high caliber offensive play with, defensive edge pressure. You look at the Raiders and what they have, what they do to teams defensively. They're stout on that front seven. They play pretty good defensive coverage wise in the secondary. They have skilled players, and they have a quarterback that seems like everybody writes him off, but he does enough and more most games to get it done. So, and he may be that may be the worst of the West, as well as they did last year. On paper, you go in and go, well, I think the Chargers are vastly improved. Kansas City, as you said, is Kansas City. They're always going to be in the mix. And now Denver, with competent quarterback play, is going to be 2.5 games, 3 games better. They should be anyway. So it'll be a dogfight in that division.
So the Chargers coach on the tennis channel, I was watching the Indian Wells tournament, and Nadal came back again in dramatic fashion to score a big win. And it turns out that he's a huge fan of Rafa. And they met before the tournament. But when the guys had this guy on the interview, I was waiting for the tennis channel guy to go, what the hell were you thinking? Going for all of those fourth downs.
On your 30-yard line. On your 30-yard line.
My God, you had the team. Anyway, that was just an aside. All right, Jimmy Johnson's Big Show. Get on Tommy Fox. I want to get down there.
Let's go.
We have many people on our chat line saying they're coming too, and they're asking, well, is there decent Wi-Fi? Of course there is. It's not like we're going to some remote island, out off the Virgin Islands. We're going to the Keys. It's just a short jog there from Florida City. Before you even get annoyed with when is this ride going to end, you're already there. It's fantastic.
That's the beautiful part about going to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. I mean, from where I live, it's only about an hour and 15 minutes. And if you're anywhere in Dade County, you're there in 45 minutes, barring some traffic in Florida City. So you're right there. It's just in the northern tip of Key Largo. You're right there, mile marker 104, and it's just a beautiful place. Once you get there, you'll know why we're always talking about just kicking back and getting a cocktail or beverage of your choice, having your favorite meal, whether that's fine dining at the restaurant or just a slice of pizza or some chicken wings or nachos, and hang out and enjoy the Florida Keys, because this is absolutely the best time to go. It's the weekends are fun. You have live music on the weekends. You have the sports bar with all the golf and the NCAA hoops that are coming up. This is a great time to hang out at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill.
It's a great time to be in South Florida. I tell you what, people can say what they want about spring breakers. I mean, there's nothing like on the walk of life, seeing all of a sudden, it's like, a beautiful flock of birds flying by. I mean, too young for me, but the scenery still is good around South Florida this time of the year. Would you agree, John Congemmy?
I would agree, Jeff Deforrest.
Yeah.
Yes, I would agree.
There's just something about girls walking around in bathing suits on the streets. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Saw some very brave young girls, braving the surf yesterday, which it's not like the surf is ever overwhelmingly rough here. I guess, you should probably take riptides somewhat seriously. I was always fairly comfortable going into any type of surf, except I'm getting lamer and wimpier in my old age. I didn't go in yesterday, but these 3 girls did. And so I'm looking out, I'm listening to some music. See these 3 girls go into the water yesterday. It was very windy at the beach. I don't know if you got out there. It looked like you got plenty of sun over the weekend.
I was battling my own frustration on the golf course.
Oh, geez.
Yes.
Oh, well, that was, I don't know, but inland, it might not have been so bad because, I live across the street. It was fine.
It was windy. It was
no,
windy.
Defo, if I could have showed you the scorecard, you would have said, man, was there a hurricane happening down where you were playing? Yeah.
It's a helpless feeling, though, when you hit what you think is going to be your usual draw ball. And then all of a sudden a wind catches it, and you're talking about you're just hoping that it catches the window of the 4th-story condo, and might ricochet back out somehow into the rough, so you might have a chance, even though it's out of bounds. Like none of your friends are going to acknowledge that and just let you play the ball.
Yeah, just going to hit another one, guys.
These girls, though, ended up, I'm about a mile north of the Commercial Boulevard Pier, and they went in the water, and I looked away for a second. I was like changing a song on my phone, and I looked back, and there's like choppers flying over the Commercial Boulevard Pier. And they had washed all the way down there in like a matter of seconds. It was pretty rough out there. So be careful out there, you spring breakers who are here visiting in South Florida, and spend lots of money in those bars. Please. That's what we're looking forward to. All right, coming back with more with John Congemmy, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Great place to go. Wrap things up with John on this week's edition of Dateline Dolphins. Always a pleasure being with you guys here on Ion Channel. Jack Namer's fine organization, rising to the top, Lubie. We're rising to the top, and we'll be back with more in a moment. Now that
the time,
it's 8:54.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
You can't fake caring. Women can sense this immediately. You don't really care. You didn't really want to do any of this.
We now return to the Defo Show.
That's the question. Does it matter if you care? I mean, as long as you did it, right? John Jimmy, you came through, right? You bought her the car,
right.
the flowers for Valentine's Day, took her out to a fancy dinner, and you know what? So what if you didn't care, right?
Check that box, Defo. Just check the box.
That's why I've done so well in this category. All right, I'm thinking this, and you know, I'm sorry I had to, divert my trip to Las Vegas to Atlantic City, but you know, it is what it is. I'll still have some fun. And nice to, just change the environment and change the pace of what you're doing every once in a while. But I'm thinking, how much money did Vegas, put into this stadium, the city of Las Vegas, to get the guarantees where they not only have, they had the Pro Bowl. I don't know if that's any great asset, but it's something the NFL awards. They have a Super Bowl coming up, and they're the host of this year's draft. And I couldn't help but think, John Jimmy, that's probably the most exciting thing about this year's draft. I've not seen this in a while here because this is a draft-centric city, South Florida or Miami, whatever regard you want to have for it in terms of the area. But people are crazed about the draft here, always have been, and I sense very little buzz. And it doesn't seem like I know there's no premier quarterback debate or anything like that, but I don't know. What do you think? Is Vegas going to be the most exciting part? And I'm watching draft picks flying out the door, in great proportions with no regard. So what do you think of this year's draft? I mean, overall, in terms of input into the league, or is it one of those things where the players may not be as popular or publicized as they have been in the past, but maybe you get a better quality of field overall?
Well, there's not a lot of buzz because, like you said, there's not a 5 or 6 quarterbacks that you're hoping that are going to be franchise guys. You're going to be household names. Not only were they in college, but for the next 15 years in the National Football League. There's not anybody like that. Now, there are good players at the top of the draft, but it's more offensive line, edge rushers, running backs, wide receivers. There's going to be a lot taken in the first round that are going to improve NFL teams, but it's just not the marquee names that you're most usually during the draft. It doesn't matter where the draft is because you have the names that carry it. Thank goodness this year's draft is in Vegas or a place like Nashville or somewhere else where you could have some fun as a fan because, for the Dolphins, selfishly, I don't think they're picking till the late 20s, maybe in the 30s.
Wow.
Even if they pick, they may end up trading out of that spot. So it's the buzzkill for, getting, 3 picks in the first round last year, or two last year and 3 the year before. You're kind of feeling like, wow, we've got a lot to look forward to. The Dolphins, selfishly, we're always talking about how they can improve the team. Well, they may not improve it in the first round because they may find a way to get out and trade up and do something else. Or when they do pick, it's kind of, it's your offensive lineman, it's your edge rusher, it's a wide receiver, but you don't pick until the draft's almost over in round number 1.
Yep.
Seems to go against the whole principle of tanking, which they were clearly involved in a few years ago, trying to lose every game, maybe to the point where even Stephen Ross was offering bribe money to help bring that about. But even if he was kidding, I mean, obviously that was part of their intention. And yet, the theory was, you're going to build us back up through the draft, and they had all of this draft capital. What happened to that? As we go into this season.
9 wins and 10 wins. It just was one game shy of being good enough, right? They went from a 5-win team to 10 to 9. That's the hardest jump. Once you get to double digits, getting 10 to 11 or 12 for any organization.
All right.
So, now they're trying to win. Supposedly, that's what we've heard.
Let's hope so. All right, we'll see what happens. Anyway, a great session here, John Kajemi. It was a pleasure, as always.
Fun.
Had a lot of fun on a Peel Yourself Off to Matt Monday here on the Defo Show. John Kajemi, brought to you by Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway. Pleasure, my friend. We'll get you the pool. You're in for the Masters.
Yes.
I'm covering your entry because it gives us 2 shots at this thing.
Yes.
All right.
All right. I'm taking another crack at it.
Come on.
But if I hit it on my entry, the money's all mine.
Absolutely.
That's the way that goes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just doing this for the fun.
Okay.
Unless we win.
Well, I mean, I don't think we could get hammered any worse than we did while being in there with reasonably well thought out selections. That were all in there with a shot. I really thought you were going to be in the mix there after round 1, and then
I did too.
Then it came apart at the seams, unfortunately, due to as we say in golf, wind is a 4-letter word.
Exactly.
All right, Johnny, you look great. Always good talking to you.
Good
Lubie,
talking to you
good
guys.
time. Thanks so much, John Kajemi, ladies and gentlemen. We'll do it again tomorrow at 7 in the a.m. Man, we're starting early on this show, the Defo Show here on Ion Channel.
Start earlier.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Well, yeah, we used to start earlier. Yeah, that was rough. How the hell did we do that for like 11 years?
We did that for 7 years.
Stay on for like 4 hours with this stuff. Huh? All right, and a lot of improvements coming to the program, so look forward to that. If you're enjoying the show now, it's only going to get better, my friends. Stick with us. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff Deforrest. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, here on Ion Channel. Always great to be representing Ion Channel with any of the programs that we do. More to come, and more news on that. Google the Defo Show. Catch us also 5 Reasons Sports Network. Ethan Skolnick, Scoop Skolnick's Entrepreneurial Enterprise, where he went out there and just shook off all of the shackles of negativity and in the business and maybe even in his personal life, and came forward and started a good thing. So we're getting a lot of traction on that. And the Believe Network.
Today we'll have LeGarrette Blunt.
Again, very nice.
Former Tom Brady teammate and Super Bowl champion with Brady. He'll join us today to talk about his former quarterback. Unbelievable.
Okay, coming back to the league, which... didn't seem like it was an overwhelming shock to anybody. You think Schefter got wakened down a bed there when Jim Gray came up with the scoop? And what's Schefter's first thought? Bleep Jim Gray.
Yeah, screw you.
Right? Rhymes with duck. Jim Gray. I don't even want to say it because we've already used enough Joe Pesci type lingo here on the program. All right. Sometimes it's appropriate. It's the only word that you can go to. That's for sure. I don't know that an overwhelming amount of that, Lubie, necessarily is going to speak well for our dignity here on the show. All right, we'll see you tomorrow at 7. Pleasure being with you. Had a lot of fun today, and always a good time being with you here on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest from Mike Lubie Lubitz saying we'll see you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:03.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.